Never thought you were going to. Every time we talked about Assassin's Creed Shadows, you never had a good thing to say, so
No.
I had no belief you were going to get this.
Oh, that's not true. That's not true. I never shit
Like,
on it.
every time I talk to you, you're like, let me tell you about this bug I just encountered. Let me tell you about this annoying thing that just happened to me. Let me tell you about this. I think one time you said, this ghost was cool.
Everybody stay calm.
Today's the day. After years of waiting, we're finally talking about Assassin's Creed Shadows. I mean, we already did, gameplay and mechanics, and we'll touch a little bit on some of this stuff, like we learned more as the game went on. But today will be mostly story focused.
How are you, Em? It's been 2 weeks.
I'm good. It's been a very busy 2 weeks, but I'm here, and I have been thinking so much about Assassin's Creed Shadows and what the story was attempting to do and what it pulled off.
She's jumping the gun. We have other things we gotta talk about.
No, we're not. I know, but I'm just saying I'm here and I'm ready. I've been consistently thinking about this one because we've had to push this topic back a few times because we've been very busy. And so I've been prepped and ready. And this was something, the story was a bit of a, I don't know if slow burn's the right word for me. It's something that I finished, and then the longer I walked away from this game and kept thinking about it, and like my friends started it in the meantime, and I watched them play a little more, and the more I thought about it, the more it started to click for me. And so now I'm eager to share those thoughts. I'm just excited. To be here.
Well, before we start, I will say I'm just coming off illness, and all my illness is gone, but I still have a slight cough. Though the infection's gone, so I will be muting myself on and off here to make sure that doesn't happen. Also, I didn't tell you this before we started. I got up this morning, I got Allison her croissants, I did my first meeting, and we knew, we're going to have bad rains today. I better go put a towel in front of the door after that meeting. And after that meeting, I went to go put a towel in front of the door. Water had seeped in, like a ton of it, almost to my TV console.
Oh my gosh, is your stuff okay?
Yeah, I got it right in time, like literally right in time. So tomorrow I have a strange man coming to my house to see if he can fix it for me.
Oh, how did the water get in?
So our house, when it was built or when it was renovated, they did a real shitty job, and our doors have little cracks in them, which probably explains how cockroaches were getting in during the summertime.
Well, yeah.
So it's my office and that front room have those cracks, and I'm looking at my office door right now, and I can see the sunlight coming in part of it. So, like, that's how the wind was. When the wind is that heavy with rain coming down, it blows it into the door, and then it just seeps on through. Like, it's nothing.
I'm so sorry. That's absolutely terrible.
It's fine. I should have told you beforehand, but I'm like, I never mentioned this. But
How do you fix that? Are you getting someone to fix that?
Yeah, I just said someone's going to be here at 9 a.m. tomorrow.
Oh, sorry. I thought you meant, like, come in and fix the damage from the water.
No, there was no water. Like I said, I got it right in time. It wasn't...
Okay, I thought you meant it had really, like, come inside and have potentially, like, damaged before.
No, it wasn't high enough amount of water. I caught it quick enough. We had towels down, like, I think we're washing, like, 8 beach towels right now.
Oh, my gosh.
But, yeah, no, we were fine. It didn't hit.
I'm glad none of your stuff got ruined. I'm glad, especially your life is in that room, man.
One thing got ruined. Well, it didn't get ruined. I think I salvaged it. This was soaked. It's dry now, but this was soaked. My little.
Oh no!
This half
the
is
Kingdom
still
Hearts
slightly,
rug.
This half is still slightly wet, but
that's okay. Sora's used to water.
Dancing water at that.
He's good. He's got it.
So, just so everybody knows, Emily and I talked earlier this week. We're going to have a meeting on potential episodes. We did this weekly because there's a lot of things happening at the end of the year. And then this year has been a little bit more slow so far. Though that doesn't mean we are going to completely go off weekly. We just need to actually plan ahead.
We figure out our life.
Yeah, life is complicated, y'all. So
the thing is, like, when we went to weekly, it was, I think, the busiest time of the year for video games and, like, the least busiest time of year for life. And now I think we're kind of seeing the
opposite
swap on that, where we're both very busy with life and games aren't that busy. Though, I mean, it still surprises us. I don't think Expedition 33 was really like high on either of Blake's, and I know Blake knew about it, but I don't think it was like super high on either of our radars going into this like
It
month
was
or year, whatever. And now Blake's pretty much beaten it. I'm a few hours in and loving it, so
I pre-ordered it back when it was announced. 'Cause I'm like, that looks interesting enough. And then when the reviews were coming out, and I'm like, oh, it's gonna be that kind of game. I'm not gonna say anything. Just I other than I love this game. I still have
we
more
will
to
be
do.
having an episode on it.
Oh my god! But that just means Emily needs to play it. Like Emily needs to get through it.
Yeah,
So
I'm like 5 hours in, maybe, if that.
yeah, you. I need updates. I know you didn't play yesterday because you weren't feeling well yesterday, but
Oh my gosh. I don't know what unlocked in our world yesterday. Maybe it's because it rained, which like makes pollen and everything worse, and like we finally
mm-hmm.
have pollen everywhere, but was so stuffed up. My sinuses were so terrible yesterday. I was literally like sneezing like a mad woman. My nose was a faucet. And then I like got out of work, drove straight to the store, like inhaled a bunch of allergy spray sitting in the store parking lot. And then that went away, but then it turned into a cough, and I literally got home and just like got into bed and was like, "Yep, that's the day."
That was me today. I mean, and all that rain is now. I just got over being sick, so it's me getting over being sick, and my allergies are now on fire because thank you, rain.
I mean, I didn't have the actual sickness part to like make it worse, but like with what I had plus the sickness, that's terrible. I'm so
Well,
sorry.
to be fair, the sinus infection I had last week came from me being in Georgia and all the because that was the worst allergy season Georgia's ever had. There was so much
Oof,
pollen everywhere, and I didn't get it until I got home. Like I as soon as I got
oof.
home, I'm like, oh, I don't feel so good.
I'm a little glad I was not there for that one. I would not have made it.
I got sick. Tess got sick. Chase is completely fine.
This is the exact same time of year too. Last year when I went to South Korea and ended up getting a massive sinus infection there from the like
Hmm.
allergens. And literally, let me tell you, there's few things that are more miserable than flying with a sinus infection.
I will never do it again, probably.
I could not. My ears were messed up for like a week.
Let's jump into the news, shall we? Uh,
Absolutely.
I have just a couple pieces of news, and then we'll get into what Emily's been waiting for so long. First and foremost on our list, Switch 2's built-in storage can only fit 4 AAA games, which the Switch could hold significantly more than that, but that's because they were smaller size. Um, that is not a lot. Oh, Emily's laughing. Em,
Yeah.
are you
Yeah, I'm
good?
good. I'm good. I just feel like every time I hear something new about the Switch 2, it's just not very good.
It's getting worse. It's getting
It's
worse.
getting worse.
What? So
Oh
the
no.
Switch 2 is like 256 gigs. Split Fiction alone is 73. Cyberpunk is 60. Yakuza 0 is almost 60. Madden NFL 26 is 62. Yeah. So get an SD
I'm
card.
curious. I'm curious to see how much. Okay, yeah, wait, stop. Mario Kart World is 23, Donkey Kong, but it's just 10. I guess, that's not that bad.
For their first party, which is why you get a
For
Switch
their first
anyways.
party games, it's not bad because you can hold more.
Yeah.
It's, I guess, like, I don't really use my Switch to play anything but Nintendo games.
Yeah, if it's on another console, I will play it on another console. The only time I'll get it on Switch is if it's only on Switch.
Yeah, yeah, make after hours. I'm sure it'll be so fast, for
Uh,
sure.
on to the next story. Yeah, this was just another punch in the gut on the Switch too. Like it sucks. Am I still getting one someday? Yes. Just now I'm not like as
I'm
eager
gonna
to
be
get it.
so curious to see how this goes. I think the sales are still gonna be like really insanely
I mean,
high.
they're already sold out. Like all the
Yeah.
pre-orders are already sold out. So the next one's the real big one that happened last week. Following the Nintendo game price hikes and everything
Oh,
else
you
happening
bitch.
in the
Don't say
world,
it.
Microsoft has raised their prices on everything.
Okay.
Huh?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, the Xbox Series S, for example, is going from $300 to $380. The Series X base is going from 450 to 550.
Well, who's
Um,
buying Xbox anyway?
there's still a handful of people, but I mean, like that's what happens. People, what they saw that Nintendo did, what they did, they saw that people still pre-order the shit out of it, and they're like, okay, we can raise prices now because there are now games, first-party Xbox games that are going to be $80 now. They're going to start at 80.
Thanks, Nintendo. I'm so
Mm-hmm.
grateful for what you've done for us in the industry. So grateful. $200 for a controller?
Yep. Oh, that's the Elite. No, the Elite
What makes a
controllers.
controller elite?
They have like 60 extra buttons or something on the back, like programmable
Why? Why
buttons.
would I need that in my life?
You don't because you're not a professional COD player.
I thought you were just gonna say I'm not a professional. I'm gonna be like, that's hurtful.
You're not a professional COD player. And that's the full. I mean, it's $200 for the full edition. If you just get the core, it's $150. It's still not great. It's still bad.
What? Controllers should not have that many options.
The PlayStation has their own. Hold
Core
on.
versus full.
DualSense Edge. The DualSense Edge is also $200.
But what is it? I guess I'm just confused.
It has
What does it offer me?
a
I
whole
don't see
bunch
any
of.
more buttons. Oh no, there's weird triggers on the bottom. Why?
There's triggers
Ugh.
on the bottom. There's triggers on the back. There's a bunch of. So you have these controls. You have this. You have these. You have those.
Ugh, ugh. This just
Uh,
seems like a lot of panic buttons I would hit when I was doing something else.
you can also swap out these. Swap out the thumbsticks for bigger ones or smaller ones.
Wait, sure, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm okay. You know, if I wanted my joysticks to be a different color, I would just buy a custom controller for like the same price.
Yeah. You don't have to. Like this is not worth it.
No, I'm not going to. That was never an option.
Yeah. Don't. Especially when
Does
they're.
it help in Dreamlight Valley? Yeah, good question, Valdi. How is this going to help like my crop rate, like my planting to harvesting crop ratio
I don't like how this man's looking at me.
in
Go
Dreamlight?
away.
No, I want to talk about how this is going to aid me in Dreamlight Valley.
It's not. Because you don't have an
Right.
Xbox.
Right.
Finally, and this relates to what we're about to talk about. Emily might have more stories after this, but Assassin's Creed Shadows, I've been talking about loads of free post-launch content and updates, as well as paid DLC on an island, Shadows of Awahi.
Not just on an island, Awaji Island, the claws of Awaji.
Sure. Emily's
Yeah.
dumb face. I'm sorry. The way you smiled and nodded there.
Listen, okay. Again, this is just a personal Emily shut up moment, but like I lived right across from Awaji Island, so like I could see it every single day, and I went to it a number of times, so it's just like very exciting for me.
Emily, shut up. Sorry, you told me.
I'm very excited.
You told me to do it.
Liked it. I like when video games relate to my personal life. I like when I play an Assassin's Creed game and I can say I've been there. It's like when you travel to a place that I mean, I don't know if you've had this experience, but like when you go somewhere you've been to in a game and you're like, I did that. I've been there.
Yeah, it hasn't really happened to me because the only place I've been is Greece and then Mexico. And
Right. So like I'm
Islands.
saying, I guess if you played Assassin's Creed Odyssey and you went to the place you went to in Greece, you'd be like, I was there.
Oh, to be fair, Left 4 Dead 2 is set in Louisiana, and I think that the theme park level is based off of Jazzland / Six Flags that got destroyed by Katrina.
You've also played Resident Evil 7, which also takes place in Louisiana.
Yeah, but that was all fictional. Including the parish they were in is fictional.
Well, I'm just saying. Like it's I don't know, it's just something exciting about seeing somewhere you've been before or something that like you recognize inside of a video game you really like.
Fallout 4, make it based in Louisiana like we've all been asking. A lot of action. Shockingly, a huge number of people have been asking for a Fallout based in Louisiana. Because
I can see that. Like the bayou aspect.
Mm-hmm.
That could be fun.
If it's in New Orleans, I will go find my house. I will go find my house.
But on the topic of Shadows and its 1-year roadmap, they basically announced that there's going to be a ton of updates coming in the next few months that are all going to be free, including a lot that are just going to expand on the game itself, adding like a new game plus, tightening some things up, and then like the first paid expansion will be the Claws of Awaji, which did that have an official date? I think it was like
Um,
June, maybe.
let me see. That's soon.
It might not have been June. I swear. Was it not on that roadmap that you had?
It just says later in 2025.
Oh, then maybe there is not a date. Yeah. Okay. So there's no date for it yet. Which
I'll
we'll talk about that a little on our main story because that's going to continue the main story of Assassin's Creed.
which I'll be honest and spoiler alert, I don't know if I'm gonna go grab it, but we'll see.
I never
Maybe I
thought
can.
you were going to. Every time we talked about Assassin's Creed Shadows, you never had a good thing to say. So
No,
I
no,
had
no,
no
no,
belief
no.
you were going to get this.
Oh, that's not true. That's not true. I never shit
Like
on it.
every time I talk to you, you're like, "Let me tell you about this bug I just encountered. Let me tell you about this annoying thing that just happened to me. Let me tell you about this." I think
Oh no,
one
those
time
were
you
just
said
funny. Those were just
this
funny to me.
ghost was cool, and then I never heard another good thing.
Yeah. Once again, I'll get into I'll let Emily go through the story beats, tell everything she loved about it and hated about it, and then I will go through my things on it.
I actually would prefer you to do yours first.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, actually, wait. Before we
No,
go on,
give
I
the
have a couple of good
synopsis.
news.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I
yeah.
have a couple big.
News.
They're not like super thrilling or like super newsy. I just saw today while I was like scrolling through social media, I was trying to find them. They're not there. But I saw that Split Fiction has officially, I believe, hit 4 million players,
Mm-hmm.
and Expedition 33 has hit 2 million players in its first 12 days. So
Yep.
kudos to both of those games. Honestly, at this point, it feels like we're still early on in the year, but we're like almost halfway through the year. And I have a feeling both of those games I just mentioned are going to be high on the Game of the Year contender list.
I
I'm not sure if they'll both make it on. Like I said, we got a lot of year left,
yeah.
but I'm honestly feeling at this point both of them will at least be considered for it.
Let's be real. It's a testament that Expedition 33 was made by 30 people who all worked at Ubisoft and said, "There's got to be better than this," and then created the
Well, the
greatest game
first
you've
guy
ever
worked at
played. I thought it was everybody. Okay, maybe I think he
no, it
stole
was
people.
they were all developers, but the first guy worked at Ubisoft and was like, "I'm bored as shit.
Yeah, he's
I
like,
gotta get out."
yeah, I don't want to work for the shareholders anymore.
Which is so relatable to be like, oh, I hate Ubisoft. I gotta get out of here.
What a vibe. Technically, and I need this to be abundantly clear, that game is an indie. It is an indie game.
Yeah, it's like a double A game.
Yeah, it doesn't have the budget of a full fledged game, and it doesn't have the staffing, which that's why it's technically in the indie field. But that excites me. I don't know. It's not of course never a bad thing.
Honestly, it is impressive. I like am always here for more indie games. I don't think they get enough credit, and I'm not even just talking about like ones like Expedition 33 that, despite all of that, can pull off these photorealistic graphics and all that. I mean, even like the 8-bit style 2-hour long indie games on Steam that, especially at the Game Awards, I don't think get any recognition hardly ever, except for maybe one or two categories that are mostly the same games.
With the exception,
Y'all know I'm a big indie horror game player,
there
so
the exceptions to the rule are Celeste, Hollow Knight, Balatro, and Animal
yeah, but
Well.
those are games that I don't want to take away from the fact that they are indie games. They are very much indie games, and they deserve the spotlight that they've gotten over the last few years. Impressed with, the recognition and the fact that Balatro got to get on the Game of the Year list. But they really only get that way when people when they blow up, I guess, go viral. Like that doesn't happen to other
Yeah,
games. Like, a AAA game, everyone just knows it exists, and they're like, well, it got this score, so we'll throw it in the mix. I think even if an indie game got a really high score, it wouldn't necessarily get put in the list unless it went viral or something, or like everyone started talking about it.
true, true.
Which doesn't always happen.
To be fair, Celeste didn't. I think Balatro was the first to make it to the Game of the Year list of any indie, but I could be wrong. There could be another one. I don't remember.
There just needs to be more recognition for those guys because they're put in the work, and I think a lot of people don't know how much good content is in the indie world, and it admittedly is a lot to sift through. It can be very intimidating, but I just think they deserve more of a spotlight on them.
Before we dive into thoughts, hold on a second. Okay, sorry. Over sickness. Emily, can you go over what the game is about, the story, yada yada? Heavy spoilers for Assassin's Creed Shadow if you care about that. So.
Yeah, if you haven't played the game and you're planning on playing the game, I mean, you're welcome to stay. I'm happy to spoil this game for you. But if you'd rather wait to play it yourself, don't be here. Well, go play the video game, beat it, and then come back and watch it later. Or if you're like, I'm interested at all, I'm never gonna play it. Yeah, feel free. Free to hang out, but there will be heavy spoilers.
I will say this before we continue. I did tell Emily when we do review Expedition 33, we probably wouldn't talk about story. I'm changing my mind. We're either going to do one episode of gameplay and one of story, or we're just going to at the end do hardcore like spoiler warning extra long episode because my god, do I want to talk about this shit.
I'm gonna want to talk. So like, I think we should spoil it at some
I'm
point.
so impressed with the internet. There's been no spoilers anywhere online for this game.
I haven't been spoiled at all.
I know, because everyone understands, like, no, this is an experience. This is something you gotta experience. Okay, that's enough of that. Moving on to AC Shadows. Emily, tell me about the game that I've already played and I know the story of.
Assassin's Shadows is the like 100th game in the Assassin's Creed series. Not actually the 100th. I don't know what game it is. I think we're on like 15 or something like that. Which is an insane amount of video games to have in a franchise. Looking at you, Kingdom Hearts.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes place, I believe. Oh man, what year does it take place?
15 something. It's like 1540s.
I was going to say 15 something. Anyway, it takes place during feudal Japan, essentially during the era where there is no shogun of Japan. Japan is being ruled by lords who are fighting and grasping for power throughout the region. You play as two characters. You play as Yasuke, the samurai, and you play as Naoe, the shinobi, aka assassin. And basically your goal is to bring down a corrupt organization working through the lords of Japan and try to bring peace to this very chaotic time that Japan seems to find itself in, due to its own actions, but then also due to external influences, aka the Templars, that we will get into just a little bit later.
Cool. I will get into my bit because I know Emily has a lot more to say. We're going to go over my opinions of the story and everything and what I thought. I thought the story was okay. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great, though. It was pretty mid. Compared to, obviously, other stories I've played, it was very... It's what I expected out of Ubisoft. It was the bare minimum. That's what I'll say. The story for me was the bare minimum. They did what they needed to do, and it was interesting enough to keep me hooked. The problem I had with it, there was a lot of moments where I felt there was a lot of filler for no reason in conversations, and I just got bored and could barely hold attention anymore. A lot of the extra missions that were related to story just kind of felt excess, and I'm just like, I don't feel like doing this. But when the story beats were high, they were high. So it kind of evened out for them. I didn't necessarily love how it ended, but I understand why it ended that way. They kept it open-ended for the DLC. But other than that, it for the most part, it was just, once again, mostly okay. I don't really have any negatives other than what I had already just said. It's just it felt like there was a lot of just random filler just to make the game longer. I will say this, there were a lot...
Fair assumption.
Huh?
I think that's a fair critique. I think this game, its biggest lacking in terms of its story was every single side quest you did related to killing someone.
Mm-hmm.
And or killing a group of people, which got exhausting and repetitive. I put 120-ish hours into that game, and I didn't even get all of the like little rings and webs of people you could kill because I was so freaking sick of it.
Yeah.
And it like doesn't impact the story. It doesn't really make it that much better, and it's just kind of a bummer because side quests really can flesh out your story and give you a break from the main story when you want to do something else. And these side quests didn't really do that in any way, shape, or form. Aside from the very first one I did, which was the stray dog one.
Yeah.
Which I liked that quest line. There were some exceptions, like the yokai one that was interesting. I always do really like that. I know you haven't played Origins or Odyssey, but they have in the last like iteration since the open world games kind of like teased this little bit of actually the mythology is real. Like in Odyssey, you can fight Medusa, and the Minotaur, and they call them like glitches sometimes, but they kind of do tease this little, what if the mythology and the lore of these places is real? And I think the yokai was an example of that. But I do think you're right. I think it was repetitive. I think it was a little bit exhausting, and the side quests were just not what they should have been. They should have. I think they were too afraid to step away from their web, but they didn't do
Well,
that, and that was
even some of the side pieces for the Shimbakfu were just like, okay, this seems a little excessive. Not all of them, but there was a lot of moments where I'm like, okay, like, why do I have to do everyone's chores before I go kill this man? At least make it a little bit more interesting for me. I will say this
your
about the
point
side.
as well.
Huh?
I did like having the quest leading up to the kills instead of just being, oh, I'll go kill this person, like kind of
Oh
having to
yeah,
set
yeah.
it up with other people and get shit done.
That
But
part was
it did
supposed
feel
to
a
be
little like
correct.
tasky
Yeah, like
somehow.
the way they set it up was correct. There should have been like you have to do certain things before you get to just kill him. It was just the execution was not
Yeah.
the best. I will say this was my biggest annoyance in back to side quest. And it's such a minor. No, I think it's a pretty major gripe. There would be instances where I just happened upon an area, and there would just be happen to be a man with a large health bar that I could just happen to assassinate or just view him, and it says, "Oh, FYI, you're now part of this side quest with no context. Kill this group." And I'm like, but why? Like, don't spawn them in until I talk to the person who tells me to kill them. That is a problem. That is bad game design to me.
Mixed feelings on that. On one hand, it was frustrating because there were times where I did that and I started something that I didn't really know what I was getting into. On the other hand, I kind of like that aspect. I like that the things in the world are just there for you to find because that felt more realistic to how it would actually go. And I kind of liked that.
I
And
mean,
it left like a little bit of mystery, like who are you? Like why, like I don't know. I kind of enjoyed it to a certain degree. I wish
why?
it had been easier to find the quest givers, to be like, okay, I wish if I had killed someone, I might have gotten some information, like maybe they had a note somewhere or something that I could be like, oh, this is this organization. I should do something about it. And instead you kind of had to just like meander until you found the quest giver. I didn't care for that aspect of it, but I do kind of like the fact that they're always there
I
for
mean,
you to find.
it's just not. If we're talking in terms of, and I hate using the realism argument here because it's not great for video games, but in terms of like, if you're walking down the street, you're not just gonna question a random man and kill a random man. Like, there,
Sure, but you're also not like the bad things happening in the world aren't just going to wait for you to show up for them to have to be like, oh man, this guy, yeah, he's been killing all the people
yeah,
in our town. He just started when you walked in 2 minutes ago. He actually wasn't here before then. I kind of like
true.
that you can show up to a town and see a guy who's doing some messed up stuff and be like,
But see, that's
I'm
the
gonna kill him.
problem. They weren't doing messed up stuff. Sometimes they were just sitting there. There was a dude outside a temple that was not a bad temple. Like it wasn't a hostile area, and I just happened to be like zooming in to see if I could find things I could look for, and it's like, oh, you discovered this man. You should kill him. And I'm like, why?
That's the thing. The game never tells you you should kill them.
I know
It's an
it's
option for you to.
yeah. It
You can
identified
see
him,
him and be like, oh, it's a man, and walk away.
and
But
man with
like,
a name and a health
but
bar.
then we are like, oh, I did that once where I ran into a woman outside of a temple who was talking to me, and I could have spared her. Like she was someone I was supposed to probably spare, and I was like, why are you talking to me? And then I just killed her for no reason.
Oh yeah,
I chose to do that.
that's another.
And
That's one of your first side quests with that group of people. Like the way they implemented how you talk, like for that option, you had to actually like you couldn't just walk up and talk to her. It was either assassinate or you had to look at her and then it will say talk. Because I did it like 4 or 5 times until like, oh, that's how you talk to her. That's dumb, but okay.
I don't know. That did it bothered me at first, but then I don't know. I kind of just liked that aspect of it. I like that you could find anyone anywhere at any time and like kind of dip your toe into something that you didn't fully understand, which is I'll get into this later, but I kind of think it goes with the theme of the game,
Yeah,
which I'll get into later. But on like a practical level, it could be frustrating at moments. I don't know how I would have preferred they did it. I don't think I like the idea of you going up to someone and then all of a sudden all these people spawn in or exist. I don't know. I do think both have their drawbacks, but I don't think this was the perfect method for it. I think it could be touched on.
uh final thing I'll say, most of the Shimbakfu, is that right? Why does that
Shimbaku,
sound, huh?
Shimbakufu.
Shimbakufu, I was missing a U.
There you go.
Most of them had interesting stories and characters and like motivations. I was cool with that, but some of them they were either interesting, and then like a handful of them were incredibly boring. It's like, okay, you just want power. Like there's nothing else. Oh, you're just manipulating people because you want power. Okay, cool. But then there's the interesting story like Lady Oichi, who is in a ton of debt and actually does want to help her people, but it's like trying to find the best way to pay off her debts. Right? Like that's a real motivation, not just I'm big man and I want power. So yeah, some of
I
them were
feel like
great, some of them were just
again
bland.
that does go. So this is going to be part of my big thesis. I do think that goes into the theme of you're finding Japan at a time when it is in chaos, when most people are just going around saying, I want power, I need power, trying to get ahead, trying to survive. There's no shogun. Their government is crippled. Like there pretty much is no government at this point, and it's a dog eat dog world of lords killing each other. And I feel like that's half the stuff you do in this game is a lord saying, well, this lord did this and this lord did this, go kill this person for this reason. And I'll touch on this when I get to like my big overarching speech, but that one kind of made sense to me a little bit. Not everyone was going to have this really intricate, especially because there's like 13 of them, right? Not everyone's going to have this huge intricate, this is why my motive, and they all kind of did in a sense. Like a lot of them, there was the lord who was talking about how he had been raised in this castle with his family, and then their clan got taken over, so they got removed from the castle, and he was trying to get back into it. For the most part, I think all of them either had some kind of motive or were related to someone somehow. I can't really think of anyone who just was kind of like, but I also think that narrative fit with what the story was doing.
Yeah.
And with the time period in Japan.
They did hint that, I mean, Nobunaga was a shogun. Of course, he died. That caused there to be no shogun.
No, he was not the shogun.
He overthrew the previous shogun, so I assume that just made him the shogun.
Lord Nobunaga was still a lord. He was just the lord with the most land and power.
Okay.
Which is why the other lords were trying to overthrow him.
Yeah, Yoshiaki was the previous shogun, which they did say that was who he was. The leader of the Shimbakufu. Yes. Which that part threw me off. When you said there was no shogun, I'm like, I thought there was. Oh, right, he was previous shogun. I just had to double check myself. But yeah, that makes sense. So, okay, that's my rant. This is more of Emily's episode. This is more of her franchise. This is one of her favorite game franchises of all time. Every time a game comes out, she gets excited, except for Valhalla. So,
sorry, I can't get in that one. I'm gonna try at one point.
A white man? No.
Big After Hours, such a good point. That the Animus, I think, allows for a little bit of leniency on kind of that stuff. They can get away with it because they have that excuse. That's a good point. On terms of like the talking about Valhalla, Blake, what actually is so interesting to me about this one is back when Valhalla came out and I was like not interested in it at all. There were a couple of people on like social media who were kind of beefing with me about, when I was like, well, because at this time we didn't know Shadows was going to be a thing. And I was like, well, they still haven't gone to like Japan or Korea. And like, we know there's a brotherhood in Japan. They've mentioned the Japanese brotherhood before. And someone responded and was like, that doesn't make any sense. How would they even get that in Japan? Like, this is a European organization. The Templars are European. How would that even start? And I think this game did exactly what it needed to do in that sense, which is answer that question. How does this organization branch out? And they answered it kind of perfectly through the Jesuits, through trade, and through... Yeah, what's up?
Yeah, I forgot. I had one more thing to mention. At the end, my favorite part was the Yasuke fighting the Templars was the coolest fucking part of the game. Okay, that's it. It was the best part of the game, and that was where I'm like, oh, I'm fully invested now. This is awesome. Fuck the assassins. I'm gonna go kill these Templars. All right, I'm done.
So they get there through trade, they get there through the Jesuits, and they get there through the Templars' ultimate is grasping at power.
Yes. And
this is where we get to kind of what I think was really good about this. I'll say overall, I felt very similar as you did. I didn't think the story blew me out of the water. I didn't dislike it, and there were a lot of times I was really into the story, but there were also a lot of times I was kind of just going through the motions. I don't think it was the best Assassin's Creed story, but I think it tried to do something really interesting, or it set up a really interesting thesis and or moral, which doesn't always equate to interesting gameplay, but I really liked it. How it's set up. The game kind of asks you to define your moral code in a way with I mentioned and touched on this before. You can choose to either kill people or you can choose to spare them often. And it's not really anything Assassin's Creed has ever done before. Most of the time it's, oh, you are an assassin, therefore you are a good guy. You are Templar, or you work for the Templars, or you are engaged in something the Templars are doing. You are a bad guy, and therefore you die. And it's very black and white. You're either a Templar or you're assassin, and you're aligned with one or the other. And this one was kind of a story about how people were mixed up in a lot of things they didn't really understand, mostly because of the time period Japan was in, but also because of these external influences that they didn't really fully grasp. Like, even by the time you get to killing the head of the Shinbakufu, who's the previous shogun, he's not the one behind this. The Templars are behind it, but he doesn't even fully grasp what the Templars are doing.
Killing him? I spared him.
I spared him. Like, that's my point, is like, I didn't kill him because I didn't need to kill him, because he wasn't this driving force. And when you talk to a lot of the other Shinbakufu, even the ones you do kill, they mention, they don't fully understand what's going on. They didn't really fully understand what they were being brought into. They were offered money. They were offered power. Lady Uichi's case, they were offered food for their village. Things like that. And you saw that on the assassin side as well. I mean, like, Naoi's mother, we learn, was the original assassin. She was trained by a Spanish assassin who was exiled from his own brotherhood for a mistake that he made. And so he left Europe and went to Japan, and he found this young Japanese girl who was on her own, and he trained her up to be an assassin, which is Naoi's mother. Naoi's mother recruits 3 others into the Assassin Brotherhood, potentially more we don't really see, which is Naoi's father, Hanzuri Hatu, something like that. It's Hanzuri. I don't remember his first name. And then the head of Iga. And so you have these little bits of the Templars and these little bits of the assassins in this land, and not a lot of them. Which, in the beginning of the game, I was like, oh, when are we going to see the assassins and the Templars? And that we were so held back from them because it made sense. Like, these are very fledgling organizations in this country at this time, and the people here don't really get what they're doing here. They don't really fully see them yet. Even, like, you can find letters left by assassins who had been killed or who had left, and they kind of mention, why are we here? Why are we fighting this fight? Why are we dying for this? Like, this is not our problem. This is not our home. This is not our people. Like, why are we doing this? And you can kind of get that feeling from a lot of people in the Shinbakufu as well, or who are kind of like, I don't really know why I'm doing this. This isn't really my fight, but, like, I was told this would help me with what I needed help with. So, and Naoe and Yasuke and Jinjiro get brought into that as well. Naoe kills Jinjiro's father because he's part of the Shinbakufu. Yasuke kills Naoe's, people from Iga. He burns Iga down to the ground because he gets swept in it. I think the kind of thesis here is people getting swept up in things that they're not fully understanding or grasping, and looking at the individual and their actions and not what organization are they a part of? How do they label themselves? It would have been really easy for Naoe to kill Yasuke, but she didn't. And it would have been really easy for Jinjiro to hate Naoe. Or for Naoe to hate Jinjiro because his father killed her father. There's a lot of moving parts.
And
this time period, in this story.
They did show that those characters initially did hate those people. Naoe, for like 10 seconds, hated Yasuke, and then Jinjiro, for the first portion of the game, you don't know it until later, but hated Naoe.
Yes. And that, like, helps my point, is, like, the first instinct is to be like, oh, this person was part of this, or this person did this, I hate them, or, like, I want to, like, get my revenge. But then the more they, like, understand and the more they learn, they see the same thing I saw with this game, which is that they're people being swept up or being brought into something. They're not responsible for all of this. They're responsible for their own, like, Jinjiro forgave Naoe. Naoe learned to forgive Yasuke because she could not place Lord Nobunaga's actions on Yasuke. I just found it interesting. I found the whole concept of, like, pretty much all of these people being pawns in somebody else's game for organizations that came from outside of Japan, that the people inside of Japan in their own time of chaos, right? Because we don't have a shogun, we don't have pretty much a government. It's all these just lords grappling for power, that the Templars and the Assassins were able to come in and kind of use that chaos to their own benefit and try to, like, manipulate the people to, like, being part of their organizations in different ways. And that also just kind of contributed to the chaos and led to a lot of people being involved in things they didn't understand and making choices they didn't fully understand. And so I like that the game continually asks you to assess what you're doing and why you're making the choices that you're making and who you're choosing to kill and who you're choosing to spare. And I liked that. I liked that a lot. I didn't really like fully comprehend all of that when I beat it. I was kind of like, okay, it was fine. But the more I sat with it, I was like, that was a really interesting way to bring the Assassins and the Templars to Japan.
Yeah, I think for the overarching series, doing that was probably the most interesting part, because once again, that was the part that fully gripped me, was the Templars and the Assassins. But how much of that did we really get?
Thing is like throughout the last I can't speak for Valhalla again, everyone. Sorry, I'm gonna step out on that one. But for Origins and Odyssey and now Japan or Shadows, you don't get the Assassins and the Templars. This is the most direct interactions we've gotten with the Assassins and Templars in the last few iterations. In Origins, you get, I don't even remember what they're called, but they also have mass. They're a different group, and it's like the start of the Brotherhood.
Isn't Origins technically the beginning of the timeline? Like, isn't...
Yes.
Okay.
Well, so no, Odyssey takes place.
I'm sorry, the Odyssey. Odyssey's first, and then Origins later.
Yes. So, like, Odyssey, you're not fighting Templars, you're fighting the Cult of Cosmos.
Yeah.
Which obviously is a baby Templar organization, right? And that's kind of been their style, has been like relabeling these different groups. And so I think when I went into this and they said, oh, there's the Shinbakufu, I was kind of like, okay, so these are our Templars for this game, right? Because in Odyssey, we had the Cult of Cosmos. In Origins, I don't remember what they were called, but they had their different masks as well. And I was like, that makes sense. Which is why I was really like, kind of shocked when we got to the end, when we started getting direct Templar and Assassin lore. And I was like, oh, intrigue. Okay, we are getting them. And then you get to the Shogun and you think it's going to be this big boss fight, or at least I thought it was going to be this big boss fight. I was like, ready to go in. And then he's just like, sitting there waiting for you. And he's like, yeah, I did these things and you could kill me for it, but like, this was not, I was made promises by people of higher power. And that was kind of a plot twist for me. It was a little lackluster when you're ready for a boss fight to get to this like really sick ending of the game and you get this guy who's like, actually.
Yeah.
Actually. But I thought it was interesting too how he kind of bartered for his life and kind of was like, I realize and have the mental fortitude to know I've lost this game. And I'd like to live. So let's come to an agreement. And then you get Yasuke's sick ending of going and killing what's his name? Nuno Karo.
Yeah.
And promising that he was going to destroy all of the Templars. I liked the way they like slowly incorporated the Assassins and the Templars. And then you get to the end and you have Yasuke promising he's going to bring an end to the Templars. You have Naoe starting her own Assassin Brotherhood in Japan. And so like very much you can tell that we're going to continue to have these organizations that grow within Japan. But I kind of liked this messy, confusing, everybody's a chess piece in somebody else's game kind of introduction to it.
So the thing that will make me get the DLC is Emily playing it and saying, yeah, they go way deeper into the Assassin's Templar thing. That's the thing that will get me in. I will say this, out of the two endings, Naoe's was the most anticlimactic. I mean, it was impactful, I guess, but it was kind of just eh.
It was eh. And I was like bummed because, so for those of you who haven't played the game or haven't beaten it yet, who might want to hear to know. More spoilers. You go to kill the head of the Shinbakufu, which is the organization you've been hunting down the whole game. And he's pretty much given up. He's like, you've killed all my people. I have nothing left. So I'm going to barter what I can to save my own life and save my own skin. And so he promises Naoe information on her mother. He promises Yasuke his revenge. And essentially he gets spared. And so then you have to finish Yasuke and Naoe's stories, which you've been actively... They're side stories, essentially, that you've been working on through the game. Naoe has been learning more about her mother and the Assassin's Creed Brotherhood and how that started in Japan. While Yasuke has been tracking the beginnings of the Templars in Japan, unknowingly, really. He wasn't specifically looking for the Templars. He was looking for this person who killed his mother, which led him to discover the Templar organization. And so Yasuke, you go You finally hunt down this guy who's been hunting down the whole time. You get this really cool action sequence of chasing this person through the castle, climbing up the Tenshu, fighting all the people along the way. You get this really cinematic cutscene. The music's really good. There was a storm in my game. It was just really epic. It was really exciting.
I think the storm was a set piece. I think it was because it was
Yeah.
open as well.
It was awesome. Like, let's just be real. It was really cool. And Yasuke gives this really long speech before he kills the guy about how he's going to hunt down all the Templars and he's going to destroy them and no one will ever feel the Templar influence in Japan, blah, 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 blah. And then he kills the guy. And it was so good. And then you do Naoe's. And she kind of gets the lore aspect of it. She's, like, sent to an assassin, like...
hideout.
Shrine, Kofun, whatever, to get the jewel, which is like the whole game they're fighting over the jewels of Japan, which I had to look up what they were, because I thought they were going to be pieces of Eden, which I still hope they turn out to be. They might not, which I'll be a little bummed for. But basically the Templars and the Assassins were all hunting down these jewels of Japan the whole time, and so she goes and she goes to the coffin and she puts the box down with the jewel inside of it, and then she hears from her family friend about her mother and her dad. And that's it. You can fight him if you want. You don't have to. He, like,
you shouldn't.
Is your ally in the end no matter what, so I didn't. I was like, well, no point in fighting right now. Like, he's just gonna end up on my side anyway. I can't kill him.
Yeah.
And then it's roll credits, which was really lackluster for me when I had just done this really sick Yasuke battle, and then I get to Naoe, and it's like, did you want some exposition? So it was a bit of a bummer, but there is an after credit cutscene. You go back, you establish the Brotherhood, and you get a note from Hattori Hanzo. That's his name, Hattori Hanzo.
Yeah.
That is basically, he's giving you the assassin robes, he's making you an assassin officially, and he tells you that there's more information about your mother. So essentially it's open-ended for you to be able to go and figure out where Naoe's mother is and continue setting up the Brotherhood. You do get a cute cutscene with Yasuke, Jinjiro, and Naoe all looking out over Japan, looking toward Awaji, which was a hint at our DLC. Mm-hmm. And kind of just talking about how they're, most of their loose ends have been wrapped up, but now they're starting on these new adventures. And so in the end, I did feel satisfied with the story, with getting Naoe becoming an official assassin, she's going to learn more about her mom, and just kind of that wrapping it up moment between our three main characters looking out at the sunset of Japan. It was a bit lackluster. I think that comes from, unfortunately, what they were doing with the moral grayness of it all, which I really liked, but I think when you transition that into actual gameplay, it makes for some lackluster moments. And for me personally, playing through this story, I think my biggest gripe with the story for me is that because everyone's such a morally gray character, I never really felt vindicated or excited about people I was killing. Mm-hmm. A lot of times you would get a quest from, like a lord who's like, that guy tried to kill me and my whole family, so you should go kill him. And I'd be like, okay, shit, yeah, I'll go kill that guy. He sounds terrible. And then I'd go to kill the guy, and the guy would be like, yeah, but that lord was having us, like, behead children, man. I wasn't gonna do it. I'm like, oh, got a really good point, And so you were kind of just, like, working for all these different lords who were all terrible people. Mm-hmm. I mean, Yasuke's whole quest line, or I guess not his whole quest line, because a lot of it is avenging his mother, but, like, a good chunk of his quests are about, like, Lord Nobunaga and, like, avenging him, and you have to kill all the people who betrayed him and led to his downfall. And I mean, obviously he was this big, like, wonderful person to Yasuke because he gave Yasuke his freedom, he gave him a place of honor, he gave him a home, he made him a part of their culture, but Lord Nobunaga killed a lot of people. He beheaded a lot of people. He burned down villages. He slaughtered innocents. And so it's really weird. It's really weird. The whole time I was like, oh, Lord Nobunaga. And I'm like, oh. But didn't he do, like, a lot of really terrible things, Like, he still burned down my home and, like, killed my family. So maybe, like, we don't.
But hey, Yasuke's now a free man.
But I also think that, like, speaks to the violence and, like, the chaos of the time period where those things were terrible, but it was just like, everybody does it, I guess. All the lords do it because all the lords are fighting for power and they're willing to do whatever it takes. at the same time, it kind of made me be like, why am I helping you? Why are we why are we avenging Lord Nobunaga? Didn't he like do a lot of really terrible things? Why are we helping any lords? Why are we working with these people?
The funniest thing that happened at the end of the Now Way story for me was I did the whole I opened the coffin, I went down, I did the whole cutscene, whatever. It was sealed up before, right? Anyone walking past would not think anything of it other than it's a sealed coffin. I walk up, the cutscene's over, and all of a sudden there's just guards looking at me. He's like, "Hey, put that weapon away," with this open coffin that's been sealed for millennia. I'm like, "Oh right, video game logic." uh,
I Yeah, go ahead.
yeah. No. All right, unless you have more to say, I think we can. We can. I'm ready to talk about the next thing. Unless you have more you want to go over.
I'm trying to think if I hit it all. I would hate for us to end the
Well,
podcast immediately go ahead and talk
no,
about that.
there is one thing that we haven't talked about at all, and that's our
Yeah.
companions.
Oh, you mean like the part of like the brotherhood essentially that you have in the end?
I mean, all the people that you recruit and you do all their
Yeah.
side stories and everything.
All right, I want to talk about them. And I want to talk about how Jinjiro is the biggest waste of space and how I almost thought he blew himself up.
You mean wait? You mean Genojo?
Genoji. Sorry, not Jinjiro. That's my son.
Genojo. I was like, no, we like Junjiro.
No, I mean Genoji.
Genojo. There's an O, an O.
It is? Are you sure?
I'm looking at it. Genojo.
Oh man, okay. Well, I didn't like that man anyway. So that's Genoji for me because I hate that man.
I mean, best companions by far. We love Yaya. Not much to Yaya, but I love Yaya.
Yeah, I thought you were about to say he was the best companion by far, and I was like, I don't know you.
No, Yaya's wonderful. Ketsuhime is that is wife to Naoe. No questions asked.
Yes.
Only right answer.
No, I did romance the God, I can't even remember his name, but the dude who was trapped in the castle, and then you save him and you help him kill a bunch of people, and then he makes you like a little hairpin.
That's not Yagoro, is it?
I think so. I don't know what his name is.
He's the one who made his own blade, or no?
Oh, maybe? It's the guy who does the woodworking, and you have to like go get his woodworking stuff so he can have a new hobby.
Is that Yagoro? No. It has to be. I think that is him. Yeah, I think it's Yagoro. Yagoro is the one who made his own assassin blade. Huh?
Koshiro.
Oh, I was wrong. Okay.
Oh no, you're talking about the guy you make an assassin who's like, I really want to be an assassin. You're like, all right, man.
Cool.
Join up. No, he was cool. I liked him.
I feel like they could have done more with him, but I did like him a lot. And then I don't know how popular of an opinion this is. I loved Oni Ryu, the poison pirate.
Poison pirate.
The
little
girl up north. Yeah, she was a girl up north.
Yeah, the little girl. I thought you were talking about a man. Yeah, she was awesome.
I needed to kill all the do the pirate quest line and kill all those still, but no, she was like, that whole thing was interesting. She was very funny. She's a little trickster, and I'm like, yep, this is the best.
I like her.
She's wonderful.
I don't know. I really, aside from Genoji, liked all the companions.
You keep saying stay wrong. That's how much you hate him.
Yeah, I mentally chose in that moment to say his name wrong. Literally, for you guys who haven't played the game, you meet Genojo, whatever. I'm still calling him Genoji because I hate that man. And he's like, oh, you need this map? And I'm like, yeah, I really need it. He's like, well, it's mine, even though he can't read. And you have to fight him to take it from him. And then you find out that he's essentially trying to be a Robin Hood by stealing from the wealthy samurai and giving to the poor people. But the poor people are like, please stop doing this. The samurai are going to kill all of us. We are begging you to stop doing this. And he's like, actually, you're all ungrateful. And I'm incredibly drunk. And every time Naoi interacts with him, he's like, should we bone now?
Yeah.
And you're like, I really would rather we didn't. You smell like pee. And he's like, the mom said that too when I boned her, but she took it just fine. Come on, Naoi. And I'm like, leave me. Like, every time I had to interact with that man, I felt so offended on behalf of Naoi. And so, like, you are a dirty little snob. Stop talking to me. Every time he spoke to Naoi, he was like, so sex? No? You have it now?
You are attracted to me as a person. I can tell.
Mostly comes so amazing. I'm so great that way. Also, I'm drunk and falling over myself. Also, I'm making all these villagers cry because they don't want to be killed by the samurai. And then, oh my gosh, the unforgivable moment. It was a little funny, but mostly unforgivable. There's one part where you're killing one of the Shinbakufu, and you've been basically working with his brother to help overthrow the Shinbakufu because he's been doing terrible things, and the brother is deathly ill from this poison that his brother gave him. And so you go with the poisoned brother in to kill the Shinbakufu, and Genoji shows up and, like, stabs the wrong brother. Shows up, yeets the wrong guy, and runs off.
He's like, I did
And
good.
I saved him, and then, like, I kept this man from dying, and then I go up to Genoji, I'm like, dude, you killed the wrong guy, or, like, you stabbed the wrong guy.
No, I think that was Yagoro. That was... No, that was Genojo. You're right.
It was Genoji. I didn't have Yagoro at that point. It was absolutely 100%, and he's like, well, they both deserve to die anyway, because they were daimyo, like, you know, they all deserve to die, and I was like, you can't just go up and stab anybody you want, because you think there's somebody else, you can't just do that, my dude. And then in the end, he's like, do you want to go on a quest to steal a bunch of rice and give it to the people who are starving? And I was like, sure, I guess I'll do that. That's like a good thing we could do. And then you go in and he's like, actually, what if I blew up all the rice? So not only do the people starve, but this rice just goes kaboom. And then he's like, and what if I blew myself up with it? And, you know, I almost let him. But I wanted all the companions and the trophies that would come with it, so I let him live.
I think my favorite moment of all the companions specifically is Tomiko, because at the beginning of the game she's like, you need allies, get a bunch of allies, and you recruit one person. Too many allies, too many people. And I'm like, Tomiko, chill, girl.
All these people. I hope you, I don't remember if this was like a scripted cutscene or like just one time Yasuke can go up to Tomiko, but Tomiko like expresses how attractive she finds Yasuke early on, and so I was like, oh, let's go flirt with her. And so I walked up to her and she was like, Yasuke, do you need space? And Yasuke's like, for what? And she's like, the heads. It's like, what heads, Tomiko? And she's like, you're a samurai. You cut off people's heads, don't you? Do you need a space to display them? He's like, that's messed up, Tomiko. I don't need a space to display my heads. And she's like, I was just trying to be helpful.
She just wanted to
I don't know
him.
your game, man.
Listen, I respect her game. I respect her effort. She had way more game than Genojo.
I love Tomiko. I love Jinjiro. I loved Yaya. I love Kitsukime. Pretty much every character that you could interact with, I really did, on like some kind of meaningful level, I really did like. Lady Oichi, Lady Nene.
Except for Lady Nene's weird head thing.
Poor Lady Nene. I saw her originally. If you guys haven't seen Lady Nene, you should go look up a photo of her. I actually thought her eyebrows were like something clipping through her forehead, like her hair clipping maybe incorrectly. I actually just thought it was like a bug of some kind, and I was like, oh man, Ubisoft, why'd you do this? And then I looked her up, and her real eyebrows just looked like that, because apparently in that time period of Japan, it was very common to shave your eyebrows and then draw them up higher as like a status symbol. Poor Lady Nene, she was horrible.
Lady Oichi, though, that's my girl. Lady Oichi's my girl.
No, I'm sorry. I have to. So I was with you on Lady Oichi. For reference, Lady Oichi is Lord Nobunaga's sister.
So is Lady Nene.
Lady Nene's sister too?
They were both sisters.
Were they really?
Yeah. They were all related.
Anyway, she and Yasuke kind of have a romance. They can have a romance, but they get along very well. Even in the flashback, she's very good to him. He's very good to her. And you can have like a whirlwind one-night romance with her. And I thought that was very sweet and fun until I got to later in the game and I met my wife, Rin. And then there's like a 5 quest, maybe not 5, maybe like 3 story quest line that you can do with Rin. And then in the end, she becomes like your wife. Lady Oichi, she's only around for one night. Lady Rin, you like hold each other on a bridge in the moonlight. And you're like, we're going to be together forever. She's like, I love you so much, Yasuke. We're going to be together forever. I'm going to go home and cook you dinner. Mwah, bye. And then she goes back to our cabin to cook me dinner.
I never found her. And therefore, yep, nothing at all.
Go back into the game for 5 minutes just to do Rin's storyline. She's so cute. She's so cute and wholesome. She's like, I want to be strong and tough. I want to learn how to fight. I want to kill people. can you help me with that, Yasuke? And he's like, I guess, man. And so like every like chapter or like quest is you teaching her something. And she's like, you're so good at all of this. And she's just so wholesome and cute. She's like, this makes me so happy. And she's like, I just really love you, Yasuke. And then she goes home to make you dinner.
I still prefer Naoe's girl. Good old Katsuhime.
Uh,
Though
like
they
her.
were, there was no like, it wasn't a slow burn. It was a, oh yeah, they as soon as you did the romance option, they're like, okay, well, we're doing this thing right on
I
this
actually did
rock.
not romance her. But I did it because at that point in the game I had already romance what's his name? As Naoi, because I really liked him. I made that choice ahead of time.
Ibuki.
No, that's Yasuke.
Oh,
My Koshi, whatever his name is. Koshiro. Because
one.
I loved him. I didn't realize he was also somebody who leaves like Lady Oichi. But if you romance somebody else and then you romance Kitsuhime, eventually she will find out you romance somebody else at the beginning of the game, and she will leave you and the hideout and quit the group.
So, yep,
So
I will not be doing that.
I, at that point, was like, oh, I'm not going to romance her because she'll just leave me and she'll leave the group. And I wanted her in the group, so
Oh
did
yeah,
not.
whenever you do the romance scene, it is like not even 5 seconds. They're like, okay, we're gonna make out and we're gonna imply that we have sex on this rock over this water.
Um, you should get further into Assassin's Creed Odyssey because you will see this, like, I would love to see Ubisoft evolve this romance system into something more akin to Mass Effect, which I feel like this was their first baby step into trying to do that, and it went so terribly and poorly. From not explaining how the system worked in any way, shape, or form, to being like, oh, you flirted with a different character 20 hours ago before you even met this person. You've cheated.
Mm-hmm.
You and like two of the characters you can only have one night stands with, which they don't tell you, and then two of the other characters are romance options for like actual relationships, which they also don't tell you. And if you romance anyone at any other point in the game, you're cheating, which they also don't tell you. But so it was a really bad first attempt. I think they need to fix it a lot. But going back to like Odyssey, the way Odyssey worked
You
was there
can
were like
just
30
bang
romance.
everyone.
Yeah, and you just sleep with all, and you never see any of them again. Except for like this one person who like I had a Hunger Games type situation with where like we were in a fight to the death and we chose to spare each other and live happily ever after. And that happily ever after version was, do you want to work on my ship? And they're like, yeah, I guess I will. And so I got to see them doing free labor on my ship every single day. But
I
that was pretty much the extent of it. The one man I was in love with, Brazidas, throughout that whole game, they never let me romance him. I'll never forget the game for that.
so I played 2 years ago and I didn't get very far, so I'm probably gonna start over. But I remember streaming it and I it gave me the option to be sweet on this one girl. I'm like, Emily, I'm gonna bang this woman in this game.
Everybody.
That, but
I
to be
gotta say,
fair,
Cassandra has some kind of diseases.
this is I don't love getting credit to Ubisoft, but I'll give them credit. That is how ancient Greece was like. They did not do intimacy. They did bang anyone if you feel like banging them.
But like, I want like a true romance system so terribly out of these games, and they'll never give it to me. Or just like a scripted one, man. I don't know. Or just don't include it. I think this was kind of half-assed. Actually, it wasn't kind of half. It was like severely half-assed,
It was.
and it needed to be better. Or just like more clear. More clear about if I flirt with one person one time, I've essentially committed to being in a relationship with them, despite never doing so. And it's even if that character is not able to be in a relationship. I've made my choice.
Persona does the best at explaining it. They warn you, like, are you sure you want to say this? If you do, you're committed to this person.
Like, even like Mass Effect has like a more clear system of the characters will at least look at you and be like, so are we in a committed relationship? And you can be like, yes or no. Or like, or we're just having fun. Like, very clear. This one was just like, we're actually not going to tell you anything. Just Godspeed and good luck, man.
Good luck.
So,
Uh,
I don't know.
so that is essentially our thoughts on AC Shadow's
Uh,
story. Unless you had another thing.
I liked it overall. I liked what it was trying to do a lot. I liked the lore that it added. I wish it had. I want to see it continue to add more lore to the story. I did hear people talking about how Ubisoft wasn't sure how much of the lore to include in this game because they were kind of going to change pace with the next game. So they, and I think from the ending of Valhalla, they weren't sure what to do with the future storyline, which, oh yeah, that's something we need to talk about. The future storyline. In the Animus, there is no future storyline. There's this weird glitch, and you start off in the Animus, and there's a dark side of the Animus that's speaking to you. There's like two things in the Animus battling it out, and Blake, I don't know if you did this, but after you beat the game, there's like some follow-up stuff you can do with that. And now, for me, parts of those were very cool because the Animus will break the fourth wall, and I love when games break the fourth wall, where it will say, like, come find me here. And so you have to, like, there will literally be a quest marker, and it says, hello, like, whatever, like, come find me here, let's talk. And then you have to, like, do this quest, and it will give you more information about the assassins. That's how you learn about the starter assassin, who essentially got kicked out of his brotherhood in Spain and came to Japan, and you basically get a lot of backstory and context through that. So that was fun. Bummer that there was no future world. I think this game, unfortunately, just kind of falls into a weird transitional period for Ubisoft, where they're transitioning from the old set of games to something completely different. I think maybe they're done with Layla, and so I think, unfortunately, this game just kind of took the hit for that. But I would like to see the future storyline returned for Switch is next. Overall, I liked it. I would still probably rate it story-wise below Odyssey and Syndicate and 2.
Yeah, I mean, it's two, at least for me, 2 is the bar. Gameplay for Assassin's Creed 4 is the bar. Though I did love the game.
2 cannot be the bar for gameplay. It's
No,
so
it's
bad.
bad.
Makes me want to smash my... There's every now and again where I'm like, I should go replay Assassin's Creed 2. That was a really good one. And then I start it, and I'm like, why would you do this? Why would you make the controls work this way? The story's good.
I want to harp back. Uh-huh.
I was just gonna say the story's good. Syndicate and Odyssey also have really good stories for me. It's probably on par with Origins for me for story. I have to replay Origins to do the story, but it's a pretty good story. It's just not in my top like 3 or so.
I want to harp back on something you said at the beginning of this podcast when you were arguing with people on the internet in 2020 about no Japan game being created, and them saying that but this is a European thing. I just want to remind everybody that the first Assassin's Creed was set in the Holy Land, which is technically West Asia, and Assassin's Creed Odyssey is set in Egypt, which is technically Africa. So
Origins, but yes,
sorry, Origins.
That was a point I made. That was a point I made in this fight, actually. And if I remember correctly, the person had said Egypt made sense because it had Alexandria, which was a huge trading port with Greece and with the rest of Europe. And that the Middle East, the Holy Land, made sense because it was part of the Crusades.
I mean, yeah.
Whereas Japan, but then also, guys, remember what's Europe really good at doing?
Pillaging.
Dang. So, like, kind of though, hasn't Europe been everywhere, and doesn't it go everywhere and everything? And I think again that was something Shadows did really well, was explaining that Europe and the Templars made it into Japan through missionary work and through trade and through power struggles. Like, that makes perfect sense.
And slavery in this one.
Slavery, yes. So it all made perfect. Also, just want to say, I do think Yasuke's story was the most powerful story in the game. Mm-hmm. The beginning sets it up perfectly with him being the protector of the Jesuits and talking about how like hard that was for him, and then being like, oh, he's so stupid, he can't even speak Japanese, and like blah, blah, blah. And then he actually ends up getting taken on by Lord Nobunaga
because he could speak pure Japanese.
Yeah, I was like, I love him so much.
As for gameplay, Naoe is more fun to play as than
Naoe is more fun to play as. Unfortunately, Yasuke, he's a powerhouse, but man, he's slow. He can't jump over a 5-inch wall. A waist-high wall. That man cannot do it. And sometimes, truly, I would just move the joystick a little to the right and he would tumble through a home and break everything in it. And I was like, oh no.
Yeah. Though I will say, it was a nice touch what they did with the Leap of Faith for him. The Leap of Faith was a nice touch for him.
That was very funny. For those of you who haven't played, he could not successfully perform a Leap of Faith. He would either, like, completely destroy the hay bale so it could not be used, or he would fall out of it, or he always made some kind of comment about like, I hope Naue doesn't find out about that, or like, there's too many hay bales around here anyway, or like that
He
hurt my
talked about his
back.
back a lot, yeah.
Yeah, it was really funny. I liked little touches like that throughout the world. Um, yeah, I think there were some really nice little touches here and there. I liked the seasons. I liked that the lakes froze in the winter, so that if you were going to do a leap of faith into one, sometimes you just break your neck and die. Um, yeah, I thought there were really nice touches. If you watched Blake and I talk about the game last time, we talked about the scout mechanic that we didn't fully understand. I ended up really liking the scout mechanic and how it incorporated into the game. I liked that it didn't just tell you where people were, that you had to kind of figure it out based on the clues that from the people you've talked to. Because that makes more sense to me. And I liked that it was a little bit of a puzzle to figure it out. Yeah, overall, I thought it was a solid game. I do not think it's going to go down in history as one of the best Assassin's Creed games.
No.
But I think it was nice, and I think it brought something new to the table.
I think it's a solid 7.5 out of 10 for me.
Oh man, I think I can give a rating.
You say this every time. I wasn't expecting you to.
I don't like doing ratings, mostly because I feel like when I give a rating, I'm comparing it to every other game I've given a rating to, or like have played. And I don't know what I've rated the other Assassin's Creed games.
I think that just depends on the context. Like, I gave Mario Odyssey like a 9.2 out of 10, I think. And I know that's like comparing apples to oranges. They're two completely different games, right? It just depends on their field and what they're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, but I'm comparing apples to apples with like the other Assassin's Creed games in a sense, and I don't know what I've rated them. And like I don't really know what a normal rating is. I don't know. I work more on a 1 to 5 scale because of that's how Goodreads and book rating works. I would give this one on a 1 to 5 a 3.5 to a 4.
Okay.
It was something I really enjoyed.
So about the same.
And I would give more time to in a DLC, and I'm really happy that I played it and had the time with it I had. Would I start tomorrow with a brand new game and go for it all over? Probably not.
She platinumed it. I probably won't.
I did platinum it. Oh, the platinum, honest, I know, bit of a bummer. There wasn't really anything that was really challenging. There was like one trophy that was kind of hard to get, mostly because it asked you to get an enemy under 2 different kinds of buffs at the exact same time, which was challenging time-wise. Platinum was super easy to do other than that, which was a little bit of a bummer. But overall, had a really good time with this. I enjoyed my time with it. I'll probably get the DLC and play the DLC to see where the story goes with it. But it's probably not a game I'm going to sink another 120 hours into.
No, not at all. Well, if you like this content, make sure you like and you subscribe if you're on YouTube. If you're on Twitch, make sure you come follow Twitch. Follow on Twitch and YouTube no matter what. Don't be a jackass. And also, if you want to see more of me, you catch me on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/thebeardedblake show. Emily keeps promising she's going to play an indie horror game and then never does. I'll believe when I see it. Emily Jean 33.
Yeah, I know. I go to stream, and like there's even days where I almost streamed Dream of Valley one day, and then I'm just like, I'm really tired. I don't want people to have to look at me. I don't want people to look at me. I don't want to have to sit in front of a camera for a few hours. And that's been like a real barrier to me streaming.
Well, Emily right now is watching me play Raincode, which I'm glad I stopped where I did because I can't say anything. I think it's gonna make it better for you.
I hope so. Those characters
it's real cringe.
It was insufferable. Blake played like 2 hours of it, and I was like, actually, I need to go to bed because I hate this. I hate everything about it. So I'm excited to see that Blake and I are also both playing Expedition 33, so we're going to be doing a podcast episode on that soon. So make sure not to miss that. We're going to get together too soon and plan out our episode list. So we'll get back to you with what content you can expect coming in the next few months.
I think Expedition 33 is our last review for a while.
Tales of the Shire is coming out, and I still do plan on getting that.
I will not be getting that because it is not my game.
I want a cozy game. I want to do it. So that will be coming soon at some point. I don't know. I feel like there's another game I'm forgetting about, but just keep your eye out. We'll be around.
Ghost of Yote is not till October. Oh, there is one. It just got pushed back also to October, so I'm gonna have to wait for that. Last Soul Aside, which is another JRPG that's getting released.
Well, that's okay. We can only have one JRPG every 6 months. Okay.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see you guys next week. If Emily finishes Claire Obscura, I don't think she will.
I'll do my very best.
Yeah, it is only a 30-hour game, but like do your thing. We can wait a whole another week. I want you to actually like enjoy the game and fully experience it. I need to finish. I'm still not done with it. I'm close. But I'm in act 3 out of 3 right now. I'm in the final act.
Well, we'll catch up on it, but this has been a very great podcast. We have enjoyed having you, and we're going to sign off for the night.
Okay. Remember, kids, that if somebody asks you to get in their van for a Twix bar, you say no. I prefer milk. Okay. Bye, everybody. Goodbye. Goodbye.